Hey you guys, how are you doing today? Today I wanted to do a little question and answer session. I put out a Facebook request for some questions from you guys, and today I'm going to answer some of them. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Julie. I am an emotional eating health coach who helps people to stop overeating and regain control of their life and their body. So with that being said, the first question is from Robin. And she says, I'm not sure how many calories I should eat a day, how many carbs, fat, etc. I should have. What in general is the best way to eat to lose weight? So for this, my answer is everybody is so different that there's not really a one size fits all template, but I do have some really good rules of thumb that I use. And there's a couple of them. The first one would be high fat, low carb. And that one can take a long time to work. I mean, at first you're gonna lose like 7 pounds, 10 pounds max water weight. And then it may take years for you to actually reap the benefits of this diet because there's a lot of fat in this diet. And the mechanism of this diet is it lowers your resting insulin rate. Not your sugar, not your blood sugar, although it does that too, but the mechanism that works is lowering your resting insulin because insulin is the fat storage hormone. So another thing on this diet is a lot of people get sucked into the processed food with the almond flour, the stevia, the erythritol, all the processed sugars that keep the insulin rate up. I mean, the insulin levels up. And so that goes against people when they're doing this because they get sucked into that trying to lower their blood sugar levels when they really need to take the sweet stuff out of their diet to lower their insulin. Because here's the deal, when you eat sweet things, even if it has zero sugar in it whatsoever, the body registers it as sugar in the brain, and then it releases insulin. And then when there's no blood sugar to take care of the insulin that the body released, kind of causes a few problems. But the biggest problem is that your body's still storing the fat that you're eating on the high fat, low carb diet. So if you can keep the processed sugar out of your diet on the keto or the Atkins or whatever, you're gonna do a lot better than if you're gonna lose weight a lot faster. But a lot of people have a problem with that because people still want sweet food in their diet. And who can blame them? I know I still want a little sweet food, but it does take a lot of getting your thoughts under control and a change of mindset, like huge change of mindset to be okay with not having sweet things in your diet. The other way to lose weight is the low fat, high carb diet. And that one you can kind of get away with a little bit more sweet things because you're not putting a lot of fat into your body. And so you're still kind of lowering your insulin a little bit, but not as much. So the mechanism of the high carb, low fat diet that makes it work is that you run out of like fuel fast because this one, I have to think a little bit more about it. I just know it works. We'll say that. There's some science behind why it works, and it has something to do with your body burning the fuel that it's given, and it goes through sugar and carbs very fast. And as long as you're not adding fat, you're not storing fat. So as soon as you exhaust your glycogen / sugar stores, then you are going to be burning some fat. So that's probably it in a nutshell, why the high carb, low fat works. They both work and they're both good for you. But here's the thing, you can only know if it's going to be good for you if you try it, because some people cannot handle high fat, low carb because maybe they have a gallbladder problem, gastritis, or whatever problem, and they can't handle a high fat diet. So they're forced to do a low fat diet like me. I know this firsthand. I tried to do keto for a long time and I ended up with gastritis, and so I had to go to the low fat, high carb. And that was fine. It worked just the same as the keto diet. So I hope that helps. The next question is from Erin, And he says, what is the difference between compulsive overeating and simply eating too much occasionally? So the difference here is, why do you want to know the answer to this question? I'm not saying this in a mean way. I just want to know because that will help me to answer this question better. So I'm going to give you a few scenarios to maybe help better answer the question. So do you want to know this because you're still overweight, even though you only overeat occasionally? Here's that scenario. Some people don't even know how often they're overeating. And that's why I developed the Overeating Awareness and Brain Retraining Journal workbook, because it helps people to become aware. So my method in a nutshell is only eat when you're hungry and don't eat past full. Don't eat so much that you feel sluggish and tired, but eat just until you feel energized and satisfied. So that's it in a nutshell. And then you make a plan what you're going to eat with contingencies for hunger, with non-trigger foods. And that's the big thing here is non-trigger foods. When you eat non-trigger foods, then you can actually tell when you're hungry. And because when you're like craving trigger foods, it may appear that you're hungry, but you're not really. You're just having a craving. So non-trigger foods would be things like broccoli, chicken, things that are just kind of like take it or leave it, but when you're hungry, you'll take it. That's the kind of foods I'm talking about. Here's some whole foods that may be a trigger food for some people. Nuts, definitely nuts are a trigger food, and they're whole food, but some people, they just eat them and eat them and eat them and eat them and eat them, and it's just way too many calories and way too much fat, so they end up overeating. And so that would fall into the category of not occasional overeating. And what else? Like fruit leather, dried fruit. Dried fruit is another thing that's considered a whole food, but people overeat it and it's highly concentrated. Another thing that people may consider a whole food is like almond flour. That could be that's seriously condensed almonds. And so you're satisfying your appetite with a very highly concentrated form of something. So be aware of that. Check out my journal, and if you truly want to know, I feel like this will help you to determine if it's occasional overeating or if you're overeating more than you know. Occasional overeating, another scenario would be like me. I have a treat day once a week when I'm not having tummy problems. And in my treat day, I do overeat. But it's not enough to sabotage my overall goal to maintain my weight. If you're trying to lose weight, treat day probably sabotage you if you overeat treat. But when you're maintaining, a little occasional overeating is fine. It's not gonna make you gain weight. It's the consistent overeating that causes people to gain weight and just not being aware that they're doing it in the first place. So I hope that helps. The next question is from Lisa, and her question is, how can I stop shoveling food in my mouth? And this is a really good question because this is like the basis of everything that I teach is how to stop. And I wrote this out because I wanted to remember everything, so I'm just going to read it to you. And so my theory is the best way to stop shoveling food in your mouth is to find out why you're doing it and why do you want to stop doing it. If you can't find out why to either of these questions and have it be a strong why on a scale of 1 to 10, having your why be a 10, then the competing desires to overeat are always going to overtake you and you're always going to end up overeating. Well, not always, but when you're tired of pushing that ball, the beach ball, under the water and you can't hold it under any longer, that competing desire is going to take over. And we can only do it for so long. We can only push our urges down for so long until it just completely exhausts us. And if we don't have a good why, we're going to walk around exhausted a lot. And so find out why you want to do it. Cultivate a strong why. If you don't have one, write it all out. Why you want to do it. Why is it so important to you? And just stay focused on your why. Have triggers in your environment to remind you of why you want to do this so you don't forget. And when you do forget, go back to whatever you wrote down to remind yourself of why you want to stop shoveling food in your mouth. Yeah, the other way to help you stop is once you set up your why, get that in place, set up strong boundaries by making a food plan, saying this is what I'm going to eat. And do this like at the either the beginning of the day or at the end of the day before. Usually if you're a morning person, you're going to want to do it the morning of, or if you're more of a night person, you're going to want to set up your plan the night before. And so I like to keep the planning process close as possible to the actual day of, so that you're in tune with what your body needs that day. And so set up your plan with contingencies to eat, like I told Aaron. Make it non-trigger foods that you're not going to eat if you're not truly hungry. So I hope that helps. And I know that's not a lot, but that's all I have for you guys this week. Hope that helps. And of course, I always welcome the questions because that's what helps me to make valuable videos for you guys. So please put some more questions in the comments below and check out my website at www.destinationnewlife.com and hit the button for the free consult if you want to check out my coaching and how it works. My consult is free. There's no strings attached. There's no coaching involved in my consult. It's mainly just to see if my program is something that would work for you. And what my program is exactly is I meet with you once a week over the phone for an hour, 45 minutes to an hour to help find out what are your obstacles and to get on a personal level with you. More than just giving you broad spectrum answers on a video. I get downright personal with you and your own personal questions, and we do this for 3 months, once a week, because if you do it for just a month, it's really not going to be helpful because you're not going to see a big picture. You're going to think that, oh, that was just this month that it worked, and now I have this exception, and now it's not going to work because of this exception. Like maybe a wedding came along or a funeral came along or whatever. There's a lot that can happen in 3 months that can give you a bigger picture of how to change your thoughts and your ways of eating, overeating for life. So check out that, and I would love to talk to you, and I hope you guys have a blessed week.